Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to St. Paul Fire Station number 7. I'm Tim Butler, the St. Paul Fire Chief. On behalf of the City of St. Paul and my command staff and the men and women of the St. Paul Fire Department, I want to thank you all for attending this morning's awards ceremony. We're here today to recognize a number of our B-shift firefighters and officers and 2 heroic emergency department physicians from Regions Hospital who teamed up on a very icy, cold afternoon last month to save the life of a young woman who lived on the east side of St. Paul. On the afternoon of On the afternoon of Thursday, January 31st, 2013, St. Paul fire crews were summoned to a burning house at 976 Earl Street. Crews arrived to find a 2-story single-family residence with flames showing from the rear and heavy smoke conditions throughout the house. Firefighters located a 17-year-old girl on the 2nd floor of the house. She was unconscious, she was not breathing, and her heart was no longer beating. Firefighters from Ladder 7 brought the lifeless woman down to the 1st floor, where a most unique and successful resuscitation effort began. It was certainly one of the most selfless and unprecedented rescue efforts I've seen in over 25 years in the fire service. 3 things made this incident truly unique. First, the tenacious search efforts through heavy smoke on the 2nd floor and above the seat of the fire. Thank you, Ladder 7. Simultaneous fire suppression and ventilation operations allowed a tenable atmosphere on the 1st floor where we had to treat the patient due to the extreme cold weather outside and the fact that a transport ambulance hadn't arrived on the scene yet. And finally, the unprecedented and selfless actions of 2 Regions Hospital physicians who risked their own safety and entered the still burning building to direct and assist life-saving interventions. With that introduction, let's meet the firefighters and doctors who made this life-saving rescue and who were instrumental in saving the life of this young fire victim. Steve, if you'll continue here.
Ladder 7 B-shift crew of Captain Mike Hamburger and firefighters Drew Polstachek and Dan Pascala conducted a search on the 2nd floor of the house. They found and rescued the young girl. These members of Ladder 7 will receive the fire department's letter of commendation for their tenacious search and rescue actions in the conduct of a life-saving operation.
So let's have firefighter Dan Pascala and firefighter Drew Polachek front and center. Mike Hamburger, I think, is sick today. So we'll make sure that Captain Hamburger receives his citation and award at the earliest convenience. So I'm going to read one of these letters. They're addressed in a similar fashion. Thank you guys for great work up on the 2nd floor. To firefighter Andrew Polachek and firefighter Dan Pascala. Letter of commendation. Quick thinking and courageous actions during life and death situations are hallmarks of the American Fire Service and the St. Paul Fire Department. These values are essential to the public safety, and they help make St. Paul America's most livable city. On the cold afternoon of January 31st, 2013, your company, Ladder 7, responded to a house fire at 976 Earl Street. It was not known at the time if there was anyone trapped inside the burning dwelling. Upon arrival, you encountered fire at the rear of the 1st floor and heavy smoke throughout the building. Advancing a hose line to the front door, you began a primary search for victims. While Engine 7 attacked the fire on the 1st floor, you and your crew of Captain Hamburger, firefighter Dan Pascala, and firefighter Drew Polachek systematically searched the smoke-filled 2nd floor directly above the searing fire and found the lifeless body of a 17-year-old girl on a bed. You immediately removed her down the stairs to the relative safety of the 1st floor living room, where other firefighters began CPR. There you were joined by 2 emergency room doctors from Regions Hospital who had also responded to the fire. The doctors intubated, and after 5 minutes of effective CPR, her heartbeat and breathing were restored, as was her life. Drew, Dan, your swift and decisive actions and your tenacious search in the thick smoke and heat were essential to the successful rescue of this young girl from the growing fire. Your skill and leadership in this life and death situation were instrumental in finding and saving the victim's life. St. Paul Fire Department rewards great efforts like yours, and therefore, on the recommendation of Fire District Chief Floyd LaCour, I'm proud to award you this letter of commendation for your leadership and decisive actions you performed in the search and rescue of this young fire victim. You are a credit to the St. Paul Fire Department, and we are grateful for your extraordinary efforts. Thanks.
So Captain Neil Youngblum and firefighter Jason Saber began CPR and resuscitation efforts on the fire victim when she was brought down to the first floor of the house. These members of the department will receive the fire department's letter of commendation for their aggressive and life-saving intervention in the conduct of this life-saving operation.
All right, Jason, I'm going to read your commendation, but it reads similar to Captain Youngblum's. Sorry. That's better. I'm nervous. Letter of commendation to firefighter Jason Saber. Quick thinking and courageous actions during life and death situations are hallmarks of the American Fire Service and the St. Paul Fire Department. These values are essential to the public safety, and they help make St. Paul America's most livable city. On the cold afternoon of January 31st, 2013, you responded with your crew on Squad 1 to a house fire on 976 Earl Street. It was not known at the time if there was anyone trapped inside the burning building. Upon arrival, you encountered fire at the rear of the first floor and heavy smoke throughout the building. While Ladder 7 was searching the second floor for fire victims, they discovered a lifeless body of a 17-year-old girl lying on a bed. They brought her downstairs to the relative safety of the living room, where you, along with Captain Neil Youngblum, immediately began resuscitation efforts while fire suppression activities were still in progress on the first floor. In spite of the significant hazard to your own safety, you began cardiopulmonary resuscitation, CPR, on the young victim. You were joined by 2 emergency room doctors from Regents Hospital who also had responded to the fire. Those doctors intubated the victim, and after 5 minutes of your effective CPR, the victim's heartbeat and breathing were restored, as was her life. Jason, Neil, your training and experience as an emergency medical technician and paramedic were essential to the successful rescue and resuscitation of this young fire victim. Your quick actions in this life and death situation led to a successful outcome and gave this victim the chance to live out the rest of her life. The St. Paul Fire Department rewards great efforts like yours. Therefore, on the recommendation of Fire District Chief Floyd LaCour, I'm proud to award you this letter of commendation for your leadership and decisive actions you performed in the resuscitation and treatment of this young fire victim. You are a credit to the St. Paul Fire Department, and we're grateful for your extraordinary efforts. Jason, congratulations. Thank you.
Engine 7 B-shift crews contained and extinguished the fire and provided ventilation to improve the smoke and heat conditions inside the house. Would you please come forward, Captain Art Rodriguez, Fire Equipment Operator Charles Schwartz, Firefighter Joel Davies, and Firefighter John Wolfsberger. The crew of Engine 7 will receive the department's Unit Recognition Award for their outstanding service during the successful life-saving incident.
This Unit Recognition Award is addressed to Fire Captain Art Rodriguez, Fire Equipment Operator Charles Schwartz, Firefighter Joel Davies, and Firefighter John Wolfsberger. Firefighting is a team effort. It takes the dedication, cooperation, and integration of every person and every crew on the scene to achieve a successful outcome and to save lives and property. Engine 7 B-shift personnel displayed these traits in a graphic manner on the afternoon of January 31st, 2013, in a successful operation that saved an Eastside home and saved the life of a young fire victim. On that cold winter afternoon, the St. Paul Fire Department was called to a house fire at 976 Earl Street. Engine 7 was among the first companies to arrive on the scene. While Ladder 7 stretched an attack line to the second floor and began a search for victims, Engine 7's crew began attacking the seat of the fire on the first floor while simultaneously searching for victims. Ladder 7 located a lifeless 17-year-old girl on the second floor of the burning home and brought her downstairs to the living room. Due to the extreme cold outside, fire crews began resuscitation efforts in the relative safety and shelter of the living room. 2 emergency room doctors from Regions Hospital also responded to the fire and risked their lives by going into the smoke-filled house to assist the treatment and intubation of the fire victim. Within 5 minutes of effective CPR, the victim's heartbeat and breathing were restored, and so was her life. These resuscitation efforts were successful in large part due to the fire suppression and ventilation work being done by Engine 7's crew. You kept the first floor tenable for medical and fire department personnel, providing life-saving intervention in the living room. The teamwork and coordination displayed by all crews and the valiant efforts, particularly of Engine 7, are commendable. The St. Paul Fire Department rewards great efforts like yours, and therefore I'm proud to award Engine 7 B Shift this Unit Recognition Award for your demonstrated skill, professionalism, and teamwork. You're a credit to the Fire Department and the City of St. Paul, and we're grateful for your extraordinary work. Art, congratulations.
Dr. R.J. Frasconi and Dr. Bjorn Peterson, both Regions EMS physicians, went above and beyond the call of duty on this particular incident and put themselves in great personal risk inside the still burning structure to help direct and execute life-saving interventions. These distinguished colleagues and longtime friends of the St. Paul Fire Department will receive the Fire Department's highest award, the Meritorious Service Award, for going above and beyond the call of duty and doing so at the risk of endangering themselves. Dr. Frasconi.
As Fire Marshal Steve Zachard said, the Meritorious Service Award is available for quote-unquote civilians. It is the department's highest award for going above and beyond the call of duty at the risk of your own life. This award is addressed to Dr. R.J. Frasconi. For over 40 years, Regions Hospital and the St. Paul Fire Department have over 40 years ago, the Regions Hospital and the St. Paul Fire Department created the first advanced life support ambulance service and the largest fire-based system in the state of Minnesota. Over the ensuing years, we have together, St. Paul Fire and Regions EMS, pushed the boundaries of paramedicine and continued a deep and enduring partnership that has saved countless lives and improved the quality of life for citizens far beyond the borders of St. Paul and Ramsey County. We work so closely together that at times it's difficult to discern a line between St. Paul Fire and Regions EMS. On the frosty afternoon of January 31st, 2013, that line disappeared entirely as emergency room physicians and firefighters worked side by side inside a burning home to save the life of a young East Side resident. On that day, you and emergency room physician Dr. Bjorn Peterson responded to a report of a house fire at 976 Earl Street in St. Paul. At the time of dispatch, it was not known an important message from our sponsors.
7 Squad 1C3 McDonald's 1380 Maryland Avenue, Orange County.
We're going to have to clear.
Pursuit clearance and prosperity by Squad 7. Engine 7 Ladder 7 Squad 1 Maryland Avenue, Firefighters County. Pursuit clearance and prosperity by Squad 7.
I do love this job. On that day, you and emergency room physician Dr. Bjorn Peterson responded to a house fire at 976 Earl Street. At the time of dispatch, it was not known if there were any fire victims to be rescued inside this fire. While firefighters were putting out the fire in the kitchen on the rear of the first floor, Ladder 7 searched for and discovered a lifeless 17-year-old girl lying on a bed on the second floor. Firefighters immediately brought her downstairs to the open space of the living room and began resuscitation efforts inside the still burning home due to the extreme cold outside. A medic unit was responding but had not yet arrived. Ignoring your own personal safety and at the risk of incurring great bodily harm, you and Dr. Peterson entered the smoky, toxic conditions inside the house to direct life-saving medical intervention and assist with emergency care. With fire suppression efforts still in progress, and in spite of the smoke and high heat conditions, you supervise the delivery of CPR, the intubation of the patient, and fire crews rendering aid. As a direct result of your decisive actions, this young fire victim regained her vital signs, her life, and the chance to recover in the hyperbaric chamber at Hennepin County Medical Center. This young woman is alive today and continues to improve. Thanks to your brave and selfless work on this scene, she has the opportunity to live the rest of her life. The St. Paul Fire Department recognizes heroic efforts like yours. Leadership, courageous action, and self-sacrifice during life and death situations are hallmarks of the American Fire Service and the St. Paul Fire Department. These traits are essential to public safety, and they are what makes St. Paul a great place to live. And therefore, at the recommendation of Fire District Floyd LaCour, I'm proud to award you this department's highest award, the Meritorious Service Award, for placing yourself at great personal risk while contributing to the life-saving effort of this 17-year-old fire victim. You are a distinct credit to Regions Hospital, the St. Paul Fire Department, and the City of St. Paul. I commend you for your extraordinary actions. Thank you, Chief. Along with the Meritorious Service Award goes a recognition medal that I hope Doc Brasconi will wear at all previous and future fire occasions. Thank you. Go ahead.
Okay, I'll break tradition and say a few words, I guess. Thank you, Chief LaCour and Chief Butler. I just want to say what an incredible privilege it is to work with the St. Paul Fire Department. It never ceases to amaze me, even after I think that was planned. Even after 28 years, it was really a sight to be seen to see these guys inside of that house in full turnout gear and SCBA doing absolutely perfect CPR. And then the continued cooperation with Medic 24 at the hospital, with the resuscitation of the patient by the ED, the accompaniment of the patient with Medic 24 by one of our senior residents in the emergency department to Hennepin was just an example of how things can work when everybody cooperates. But once again, it all starts with the fact that we have the best ambulance service in the country right here in St. Paul. So thanks again, guys, and I'll continue to be amazed.
Okay. Fire District Chief Floyd LaCour was the incident commander at this scene. Commanding a fire scene is difficult enough. Throw in discovery of a fire victim, a joint fire EMS operation, hospital staff inside the active fire scene, and the search for additional victims and fire extension, and the scene can get chaotic and dangerous very rapidly. Chief LaCour brought experience, clear direction, and unrattled calm to the scene, and simultaneously directed medical rescue and fire suppression efforts. For his outstanding work directing a life-saving operation, Chief LaCour will receive the department's letter of recognition.
This letter of recognition is addressed to District Fire Chief Floyd LaCour, 3rd District B Shift. Dear Floyd, fire scenes can be dramatic and chaotic places of great danger. Quick thinking, decisive actions, and the ability to calmly organize and coordinate response actions are vital to saving both lives and property. Those traits are hallmarks of the fireground leadership in the American Fire Service and the St. Paul Fire Department. On January 31st, 2013, your demonstration of those traits was instrumental in saving the life of a young woman on the east side of St. Paul. On that frosty afternoon, you were the incident commander at a dwelling fire at 976 Earl Street. It was not known at the time of dispatch if there was anyone trapped inside the burning dwelling. When you arrived, there was fire at the rear of the first floor and heavy smoke throughout the building. You directed fire suppression efforts and directed a simultaneous search for victims in the basement and on both floors of the 2-story dwelling. While Engine 7 attacked the main body of the fire on the first floor, Ladder 7 conducted a systematic search in heavy smoke conditions on the second floor. Ladder 7 found the lifeless body of a 17-year-old girl on a bed. You immediately called for a medic rig and directed crews to begin resuscitation efforts in the relative safety of the first floor living room due to the untenable cold outside. During the medic intervention efforts, which included the selfless action of 2 on-scene Regions EMS physicians inside the still-burning house, you maintained control of the scene and directed suppression and ventilation efforts to create a safer interior environment for our own firefighter, EMTs, and medical personnel. Floyd, your swift and decisive command presence was essential in the successful rescue and revival of this young girl from the growing fire. Everyone at the scene had a hand in the outcome of this fire, but precision teamwork like this starts with a strong, competent, and active incident commander. Your skill and leadership in this life and death situation led to the successful resuscitation and transport of the victim and the chance to recover fully at the hospital. The St. Paul Fire Department rewards great efforts like yours, and therefore I'm proud to award you this letter of recognition for your command leadership at this potentially tragic fire. You're a credit to the fire department, and I'm grateful for your extraordinary work. Floyd.
Thank you. Basically, that was a very well put together crews of all companies that showed up that responded and did it like clockwork. They gave the reports. I drove around the block, got to look at the rear, parked myself, and they all went to work. They took their assignments, they did them. They told me what was going on, where they were going, and it was easy to track. The hard part was actually when RJ showed up. I saw this white car in my window, my mirror show up, and I thought, oh, Assistant Chief Smith was here. It wasn't him. It was RJ coming out with Dr. Peterson, and all of a sudden he says, what's going on? I give him a fill-in. He says, I'm going to go walk up the street. Well, 5 minutes later, that kind of just went right out the door, and him and the other doc were running inside. I'm going, okay, how do I rate this one up to the chief? So I basically wrote up everything. Crews did a great job in searching on the second floor. I got to give them a very big kudos on that. It was very heavy smoke. They couldn't see anything. And then while Engine 7 was knocking down and putting out the fire, the other crews were doing searches and ventilation. And then all of a sudden the bags are going in for the victim that was brought down to the first floor. I kept expecting the patient to come out. No patient was coming out, and that's when they told me they were working on the patient inside. And right there, I thought, well, this can't be real good. And thank God the docs were there. They helped the medics that were working on doing resuscitation. And everybody did a fantastic job. You couldn't ask for a better operation that day.
Chief LaCour told me that I had to present an award to the doctors, otherwise he'd have them arrested for entering a burning structure without all the required PPE. So. He also said, however, that he would have done the same exact thing as the doctors, and I think that's a real testament not only to the doctors, but to the selfless sacrifice that Floyd would make in that situation as well. I have one more unit recognition award for Engine Medic 24, the B Shift, Fire Captain Luke Ritchie, Fire Equipment Operator Mark Satilli, Firefighter Kevin Ludens, and Firefighter Scott Schultz. Medic 24 here? What's that? All right.
Best ones here.
We have a couple of them?
Just me.
All right, this is Firefighter Kevin Ludens, everybody, Medic 24 B Shift. This unit recognition award is addressed to him and his shift teammates on Medic 24. Firefighting is a team effort. It takes the dedication, cooperation, and integration of every person and every crew on the scene to achieve a successful outcome and to save lives and property. Engine Medic 24 B Shift personnel displayed these traits in a graphic manner on the afternoon of January 31st in a successful operation that saved an East Side home and saved the life of a young fire victim. On that cold winter afternoon, the St. Paul Fire Department was called to a house fire at 976 Earl Street. Crews arrived to find fire at the rear of the first floor and heavy smoke throughout the building. Ladder 7 located a lifeless 17-year-old girl on the second floor, and due to the extreme cold outside, brought her to the first floor living room where resuscitation efforts were started. Joined by doctors R.J. Frasconi and Bjorn Peterson from Regions Hospital, St. Paul fire crews began CPR and life-saving interventions, surrounded by fire suppression activities and smoking debris. After 5 minutes of effective CPR, the victim's heartbeat and breathing were restored. The victim was transported by your crew, Medic 24, where your crew continued life-saving interventions while en route to the hospital. As a result of your professional care, the patient showed signs of improvement. After transferring care to the region's hospital staff, it was discovered that transportation to a hyperbaric chamber would be delayed. Undaunted, the willing crew of Medic 24 B shift volunteered to continue care of the patient while transporting her to Hennepin County Medical Center. That young fire victim is alive today and continues to improve, and you were instrumental to this successful outcome. Thanks to your compassionate care and willingness to provide extended treatment and transportation to the victim, she will have the chance to enjoy a full and rewarding life. The St. Paul Fire Department recognizes great efforts like yours, and therefore I'm proud to award Medic 24 B Shift this Unit Recognition Award for your demonstrated skill, professionalism, and teamwork. You're a credit to the fire department in the city of St. Paul, and we're grateful for your extraordinary efforts. Kevin, on behalf of your crew, thanks for. Firefighting is definitely a team effort, and a successful operation involves the dedicated effort and teamwork of all personnel and crews on the scene. In addition to the distinguished gentlemen that specifically recognized today, I'd like to recognize and thank the other crews that worked to make this effort a successful effort for our department. Engine 9 B Shift, are you guys here? Neil Youngblum, fire equipment operator Mike Junker, firefighter Jackie Drassel, firefighter Kyle Bodie, firefighter Justin Grappoli, and firefighter Wendell Hoagland. Are you guys here? Yeah, why don't you just come up here? Engine 17's B Shift, Fire Captain Steve Sampson, Fire Equipment Operator Matt Brown, Firefighter Pat Thompson, and Firefighter Brian Loomis. 17's here?
They had got a medic run on the way here.
On a medic go, all right. We'll take Fire Equipment Operator Matt Brown then. Rescue Squad 1, B Shift, Fire Captain Mark Adaman, Fire Equipment Operator Bob Peterson, firefighters Andrew Beasy, Nakia Sandridge, and Jason Saver. You guys show here. These men and women worked to reduce the heat, the smoke, and the toxic gases that were hindering the rescue efforts, and found, confined, and extinguished the last remnants of the fire in the house. Ladies and gentlemen, you have my thanks and appreciation for a job well done.
Well, I have the pleasure of informing you that the young fire victim is out of the hyperbaric chamber and continues to improve. However, slightly, she's improving. She's making a long, slow recovery, but she's alive today thanks to your excellent work. St. Paul Fire Department and I wish her full recovery, and will keep her and her family in our thoughts and prayers during her recovery.